Good evening and welcome to ATV from San Jose. I'm SuadAsfour. Tonight we have Sam Hindi. Sam immigrated from Lebanon in 1983. He studied business administration at CSU Long Beach. He started a courier company in 1988 and built it into a multi-million-dollar company. Sam chose Foster City as his home in 1993 when he moved to the Bay Area to expand his business. Sam's love, the commitment to Foster City translated in his volunteering in leadership roles in various organizations, including Vice Chair for Foster City's Park and Recreation Committee, Chair of the Board for Foster City Chamber of Commerce, and Team Leader for the Community Emergency Response Team. Sam and his wife, Suha, have 3 children, Rania, Rami, and Janine, each born and raised in Foster City. Sam, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Saad. It's a pleasure to be with you and with your audience this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sam, can we start by telling us a little bit about your life, where you grew up, and your childhood in Lebanon?
Yes. So, as you have mentioned, I was born in Lebanon, but my parents both are Palestinian refugees.
From Palestine?
From Palestine and Akka, actually.
Oh, wow.
They are from Akka, and they became refugees in 1948 during the Israeli war, and they had to flee to Lebanon.
And so that's where you were born?
That's where I was born. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, and that's where I grew up. I went to school in Lebanon, and until I came to the United States in 1983 to pursue my education.
So how was your childhood in Lebanon? What was it like to be raised in Lebanon?
Well, it was tough, actually, because quite frankly, being a Palestinian refugee was not something that always pleasant in Lebanon. Being raised, going to school, you feel some discrimination.
Definitely.
We had to go through discrimination in the schools. And when I got a little bit older, the Civil War broke out.
Oh my God.
In the 70s. So that was
75.
not a fun childhood, so to speak.
Wow.
So you had to grow within the Civil War time. But all in all, I think it was an experience that, like all of us, I wouldn't take it back. It made me who I am today. So
made you stronger.
Made me stronger. And actually, we built, I have special love to Lebanon. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised. Sure. And it is my second country.
I'm sure it'll be love and appreciation.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in California and the Bay Area and Foster City?
Yeah, so I ended up in California in 1983. So I had to pursue my education. Again, Lebanon was in a civil war, and in 1983, the Israeli invasion to Lebanon happened, and the Israeli army came to Beirut. So it became a place for me. I cannot continue to be there, and it was my way of pursuing my education. And my father, he always stressed for us on quality education.
Definitely.
We came from humble beginning. Being a refugee, my dad had to do odd jobs in the early days when they moved in 1948. He was the oldest in his family, and he ended up doing the odd jobs to help educate his brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And for him, that was always important, and he instilled that in us, education, education, education. And because he said, we lost our country, we lost our homes, we lost our land. The only thing I could give you, no one can take away from you, is quality education.
Definitely.
So he really made sure he opened all doors for us to make sure that we could come into the United States and pursue our education.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I think he did an amazing job.
Thank you.
So do you go back? Do you still have family there you visit?
I do. My father passed away about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, actually.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. But my mother still lived there. She comes and visits here, so she spends half the year.
In Lebanon?
In Lebanon, in Beirut. And I have 2 sisters that are in Lebanon as well, and I have an extended family also in Lebanon.
But what about Palestine? Do you ever visit?
Well, I've never been to Palestine, and I'm ashamed to say that because before, obviously, I was not able to. But when I became a U.S. citizen, I could.
Now you can.
Now I can, but I have not made it for many reasons. I would love to go. Actually, we were planning to take the family this year, all of us, and go. My daughter went to Palestine 2 years ago.
Oh, good.
part of youth group
With the
into
group.
Palestine, and she said that was the best time she's ever had, the best trip she's ever had anywhere.
Yeah, so especially Akka.
Especially
Nice
Akka, Lodz, everywhere.
Yeah.
Palestine is a great country
Yes,
to go visit.
everywhere there is beautiful. So let's start by discussing your career as entrepreneur. What made you want to start your own business when you did?
Yeah. Well, actually, quite frankly, I'll share the story with you. It
Sure.
happened by accident.
Wow,
And
those are the best results.
that's the best results, exactly. And it's the lesson, the moral of the story here is never take a negative and feel let down. You always have to stand up and fight and continue whatever you're doing, and you will find better ways for it. So I was basically, like I told you, my dad stressed to us education and quality education. And by the time when I immigrated to the United States, my dad was an employee at a German company. So he basically, when he sent me here, he said, just go get your education and I'll take care of all your expenses.
Awesome.
What exactly, perfect, right? What else could a young kid,
Yeah.
a young man wants when he immigrates? But what happened is the Lebanese currency devaluated so much right after I got here to where his salary would not even make anything to support me. So I had basically to find myself, I had to go work at night and go to college in the daytime. So I had to put myself to college. And one thing led to another. My work ethics kind of basically were noticed by many, especially customers for the company that I was working for and by the owner of the company, and I ended up being promoted. And then this is where the story goes.
That's
I ended up being fired from that company that I was working for. But I built such good relationship with the customers, and they valued how I treated them. They valued how I took care of their business when I
Wow.
was working for them. And they encouraged me to open my own business.
Yeah.
And that's really how it all started.
And so that was really amazing, unusual story.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
built your clientele before and they followed you.
Yeah, I mean, I built them really not for me. I built them for the owner of for the company that I was
Right.
working for, because that's my work ethics is give it 100% all the time. And that's what I did, because I felt I'm getting paid from that company. I should give 100%, and that's what I did. And the customers recognized that.
But when you started your own and when you got on your own 2 feet, were you worried that you're going to fail or thrive? You know, I mean, how was your feeling?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's usually scary when you start a new business.
Absolutely, it's difficult. I wasn't scared, if you will, but of course I was worried. Would it succeed? Would it not succeed? What would it take? As you know, every time you charter new territories, you discover new things that you did not know about.
Yeah,
So, and I did have some stumbling blocks when we first started.
I'm sure.
You know, we started the courier business, my brothers and I, out of one-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles.
Out of your home.
Out of my apartment, actually. It was one-bedroom
Wow.
apartment.
That's a success story. It should go.
Yeah, and you know, those clients that encouraged me to start my own business, when we started the company, some of them could not deliver the contract that they wanted to give us just because we are a small company with no references. And they were larger companies. So whoever we worked with, although they trusted us, they had to show their bosses that this company is a viable company. Without
Wow.
references, we could not get the account. So we had to work and try basically, and that was a setback.
Yeah.
That was a major setback, because they told me, go set up your own company and you got our business.
Oh,
And they didn't do it out of malice. It's just they need to justify it. If
Yeah.
something goes wrong, how could they explain that to their bosses? Who is this company that just started? You're giving them the business. And I'm talking, you know, large companies here.
definitely.
So we ended up having to go start the business the old-fashioned way, one customer at a time, small customers, mid-sized customers. And we ended up getting those customers that...
And doing all the right stuff, being
yeah.
honest.
Yes,
do all that
exactly.
stuff.
So it turned out really good.
That's good. That was a good start.
Yeah.
So when did you become interested in politics?
Well, politics, I mean, that's kind of really a good question, because politics where we come from, the Middle East, is different than what I see politics for what I'm doing now.
In the United
You know, in the Middle East, we are refugees, we are Palestinians, especially us, who lost their country and always under Israeli attack, wherever we were, even in Palestine and those in Lebanon. I grew up in Lebanon. There were always airstrikes, invasions, and so forth. So that kind of where politics was. How do we get back to our homeland? How do we struggle and sustain ourselves and remain alive, if you will? That was the politics, making sure.
So it's in your blood, basically.
Exactly,
We can
right?
say that.
And it was always at the dinner table,
Yep,
all the
every
time.
day.
Politics
Breakfast,
everywhere in the
lunch,
Middle
and
East.
dinner.
That's dinner table. You
That's
cannot have dinner
I
without
can
talking
relate to
politics.
that.
Here, this is different. This is especially what I'm doing now as a mayor, as a council member. It's really about public service. It's not, I don't define it as politics the way we define politics. Because what we do really is a public service. We want to make sure that the city is maintained, the emergency essential services are available, deal with the open space, create a quality of life for the community that we're in. The way I started volunteering because of my love to give back to what I received from this country and from this community. I started volunteering in the, as you mentioned in your opening, the Community Emergency Response Team. I thought that
Chamber of Commerce, you were also the chair.
That is correct. I was also the chair of the Chamber of Commerce. But basically, I started volunteering to see where I could use my expertise, my talent, and provide that to the community. And one thing led to another. I ended up being the chair of the Chamber of Commerce and the vice chair of the Park and Recreation Committee. Mm-hmm. And then people saw my work ethics again, and they identified in me that I could be a good candidate for the city council. And I was encouraged by many community leaders and elected officials that I should consider running for the job of city council.
Yes.
And I decided that's a good thing because I could really bring a different perspective to the council. And quite frankly, for us as Arab American, we need to be represented. We have not been, there have been many before me, but not enough, quite frankly. We are a larger community from what we used to be, and we need to be represented. And that's one way of us being represented, by being public servants and by being public elected officials.
So by doing all the stuff you've done, in the back of your mind, it was always our community, to give back to our community and our culture.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so out of all the cities around here, you chose Foster City. What do you love about it the most?
Oh my God, Foster City is really a great place to live, work, and play. And I mean that in all those three categories. It's a great place to live, it's a great place to work, and a great place to have fun and play. As you know, we held last year the Palestine Culture Day in Foster City. It was a fantastic event.
I've been there. I was there.
Over 5,000 people showed up, and for your audience, mark your calendar, September 14th this year is the second year in Foster City, and we're hoping to draw a lot of absolutely
perfect time.
So what I like most about Foster City, really, other than the beauty of it, we have 24 parks, the open space, the Leo Ryan Park, but also really what makes it special for me is the diversity that it has and its families. The community, that you get the sense of community in Foster City, family oriented, and everybody wants to give back to the community and volunteer.
So where do you and the family go spend some time? What do you do in the city?
In the city, Leo Ryan Park, where we held the Palestine Culture Day, is a great park right on the lake, and beautiful setting with the background.
It's a good place to take the kids and barbecue and
so barbecues, we really, more at the backyards and so forth, but at the water, you could barbecue there as well. Mm-hmm. We love to go to Waterfront Pizza, one of the landmarks in Foster City, especially for the Arab community. They come from all over the Bay Area.
Yeah, that's great. Nice where they gather together. So what is it like to be a mayor? This is your second time you elected a mayor for the city of Foster City. Yeah. So what is it like? What's your day like on a daily basis?
Well, it's, I don't know if you know that or your audience know that, but the mayor in Foster City, similar to many smaller cities and communities, is a volunteer position.
Okay.
Which means we have to have our daytime real jobs to earn a living.
Okay, so it's a volunteer.
It's a volunteer job.
I did not know that.
No, we get compensated $495 per month.
What?
Yes, so
That's a token.
exactly. So you know that you cannot.
Wow, that's given a lot.
Yeah, so you cannot live on that. So my day as a mayor basically starts by waking up, checking my emails, responding to my emails. I go to City Hall to my office. I check with staff and see what is important of the day. And many times we have to attend certain meetings early in the morning. And after that, after I take care of the city business, I have to go take care of my business. And that's where we earn a living to, I have 3 kids, as you mentioned, and 2 in college and 1 coming up to college soon. So we have to make sure that we have the finances for them.
Wow, this is good. So what other project you work on as a mayor for the
So
city?
currently, you know, Foster City is on the waterfront, and Foster City is at sea level.
Ah,
So currently we are raising our levee. I mean, we all hear about sea level rise.
so it's a flood hazard area?
It's a flood hazard area. We're not designated as a flood hazard area. However, we need to raise our levee.
To be
So this is
cautious.
a project we are working on now and we'll be working on for the next 3-4 years to raise our levee system to protect the city from water flooding with the projection of the 2050 sea level rise. So this is extremely critical. And the taxpayers of Foster City were extremely responsible. We passed a bond measure last year for $90 million. So the residents and the taxpayers of Foster City will be paying for that project.
Wow. So what is the most challenging situation you go through as a mayor?
Yeah. Well, actually, the most challenging, you know, as far as what issues we're dealing with today, similar to every community in the Bay Area, really, is traffic and housing.
Oh, yeah.
And income disparity, right? So now you have the traffic is horrendous. As we were talking earlier before the show, it took me 1 hour and 40 minutes to get from Foster City to where we are here today, to your studio. And it's really about a 38-mile drive. So you think about the commuters every day that they have to go to work and come from work and spend 1 hour, 40 minutes each way. That is unsustainable and taking a toll on their quality of life with their families as
I'm
well.
sure a lot of people live in the Foster City. They come and work in the Silicon Valley. So what are you planning to do for that, to make it easier?
So what we are doing is we're trying to attract, and we do have large companies that call Foster City home. I don't know if you know Visa, the credit card company.
Yes.
Their home office is in Foster City.
Oh, yeah.
Gilead Sciences, one of the top biotech companies, also their home is in Foster City. So we have actually a daytime population, which is employees in Foster City, about 18,000 people that come in a day, call Foster City their home during the day for work.
So as a volunteer mayor, do you handle the budget for the city?
Of course.
All that still your responsibility?
That is our responsibility, and this is really the biggest thing that we do. So we start working on the budget from January, and by the time we're done with it to adopt the budget is in June. So we got 6 months or 5 months working on the budget, and this is, as you know, in any organization, that's the most critical thing that you do, is you have to budget for your expenses, and you have to spend basically within your means and take care of your expenses.
So there's always new challenges with the budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you run again as a governor or as a mayor again next year, what will you do different?
So okay, so it's really a combination of 2 things, a combination of how do you enhance the revenues and how do you cut on the expenses. So, because for us, for me as a mayor, one of the most important things for me is to maintain the quality of life for my residents in Foster City. And that comes at an expense because the cost of living continue to escalate in the Bay Area. So we have to figure out a way, how do we enhance the income and the revenue for the city so we could maintain those amenities and quality of life that we provide.
So what will be your top priority?
My top priority really would be I serve on the Economic Development Subcommittee. So this is about how do we have a vibrant economy in Foster City by attracting businesses, by having a diversity in amenities, restaurants, and retail, and so forth.
Wow, that's excellent. That's a lot of work and a lot of challenges.
It is a lot of work.
So where would you see yourself in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I mean, ideally, probably I would like to, if the opportunity arises, look into a bigger office, run for another office that will be a step up from where I'm at in Foster City now, whether at the county level or state level. I would be looking at that because, like I said, we really need to be represented, and we have to be on the table. We are currently, you and I were talking a little bit about before the show, that our story is not being told by us. We are being defined by someone else, whether the media or someone else, who are the Arab American, who are the Palestinian American, who are the Lebanese American, or anybody else, basically the Arab and the Muslim in general, are being defined by the media and by those who don't necessarily like us. It is time for us to be on the table and show by example who we are. We are no different than any other American member of this great country. You know, we are like, you know, we are the teachers, we are the nurses, we are the business people, we are the elected officials, we are the volunteers, we are the doctors, the entrepreneurs, the capital venturists, and all of that. And that's the story that we need to continue telling. We need to define ourselves by who we are.
That's beautiful. That's good to hear, and I'm glad we have the chance to mention that on our show today. So, who is your hero? I consider you you are one of our heroes from Middle East Arabic man. And do you have one hero that you are very proud of?
Well, many. I do have many, but I would have to say my parents really are my heroes. They instilled in me all these characters, and they defined who I am, actually, and that was from a young age. So my mom, my dad are my heroes.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I think your children are very lucky to have
Thank you.
And you are raising them the Middle Eastern way, pretty much maintaining our culture and all our they eat Arabic food and all that stuff.
Of course, of course. You know, it's important. I mean, obviously we are Americans, but it's important to preserve our culture and not to forget where we come from. So as proud Americans, we also are proud Palestinian, proud Arabs, and proud Muslims. So we, of course, we raised our kids that way. And we sent them to Arabic school in the weekend, and they learn Arabic. They speak Arabic. They write. I don't know about writing, but they lost it a little bit. But they speak it obviously a little bit. We try at home. We try to speak Arabic most of the time, and obviously the food and the social circle, which is really important. So the social circle when they were young up till now remains heavily Arab.
So what else? How you do that to them? How do you make sure they are surrounded by the right
so
group?
It is who my wife and I, who Suha and I socialize with. It's a family, so we grew up together with these families which have kids about the same ages, and we're still connected, and we still socialize with the same group of several families that the kids grew up together. So they created that bond like we, the adults, created the bond as well. And we continue to attend events, whether it's music or concerts.
Still take them.
Exactly, exactly. So they are extremely active. And like I told you, and it's a great thing, it's funny, I'll tell you this, because it wasn't easy to take the kids, I think it was one day in the weekday, we used to go to Santa Clara to the MCA, and you know they had to go learn Arabic, and then in the weekend. But it was really difficult for us and difficult for them. And when they got a little bit older, they were like resisting. Why do we need to learn Arabic? It's taking the time from us, and so forth. But my daughter Rania went to Palestine 2 years ago, and she was part of a group of youth, Palestinian youth, from North and South America. And they are Palestinian heritage, not they all were born in North America or South America. And when they went there, she was fluent in Arabic.
Wow.
And she was so proud of herself. And then while the others really struggled, they kind of spoke broken Arabic, or they just understood Arabic and so forth. So when she came back, she told me, "Thank you, Dad. That's the best thing that you've ever done for me, is you made sure we continue to learn Arabic, even though we were not happy at the time. Now I know the value of it." So for me, that was my greatest reward for all the time that my wife and I sacrificed to take them to the Arabic school.
That's good. That's anything you regret doing in this country since you came?
Actually, no regrets, because anything that happened, I learn a lesson from it, and I take it as a positive, build on it, and how do I make myself and those around me better. So no regrets, quite frankly. Things I could do different, yes, but there are no regrets.
Learning experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we got 1 minute left. We need a final advice from you to all the Middle Eastern men who are trying to raise good family. What would you tell them?
I don't know about advice, but what I want, my last word to your audience, to my Arab brothers and sisters is, please get involved in the process that's in the United States, and the least that you could do is register to vote, and you do your right of voting and be a participant in the process. We need to be heard.
It's very important.
It is very
I agree
important.
with you,
Yeah.
and I hope they all register
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to stress on that. Well, thank you so much for coming. I wish you the best
Saad,
and more success.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. It's
I really enjoyed it. I don't know how time flew by.
I'm very honored to have you.
Thank you, my honor.
Sorry for the traffic.
No, not at all. It was all worth it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
And
so
I'll see you in Palestine Day.
I hope so.
September
yes,
14th.
if not earlier.
Okay, great.
Yes, but September 14th is the day, and we're
Foster
looking for a
City.
big event.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you for watching us. See you again next week. Good night.